Tell me your name and a little bit about yourself, including your age, your majors and minors, and anything else you feel comfortable sharing.
All right. My name is Moody Valentine Pierce. I'm 25. I'm a sophomore here at UAF. I'm majoring in psychology and art, and I'm minoring in music.
What are the most important lessons you've learned in life?
I think the most important thing I've learned in life is that you can't really fight the flow of things. You need to learn to just embrace life as it happens and learn how to deal with the punches and move on. And that you can only do so much, and you also need to be willing to rely on others. As people, I feel like a lot of us have a tendency to take on too much, and then we spread ourselves too thin, and we want to do so much of it alone, but in reality, we have to really limit what we do so that we can give our full attention to everything, the attention that it deserves, and we have to be willing to take help when we need it.
What are you proudest of?
Just in general or at work.
Whichever one you'd rather answer.
What am I most proud of? I would say just where my life is at right now. During COVID, I was in a really big slump. My health was in a very bad condition. I was having hypertension every night. I just kind of was in a state where I didn't really feel like I was gonna make it through the pandemic. I was kind of immunocompromised at the time, and just didn't really have that many connections in my life anymore because I drifted from a lot of friends that I had prior to COVID by not really keeping up with them. And then since then, since coming back to UAF, I've just completely transformed my life, and getting back and running just completely reversed all the health issues I was having at the time. Kind of just I guess picking myself back up from a really big slump in the middle of a really big worldwide disaster, and then getting through it in a completely opposite just opposite ends. I was in a slump, and then I was at probably my highest point in life was just the life I've been living over the past few semesters, just having all these big connections and just going on really big runs, and having all this energy to just just interact with all these people and do these very physical things that a couple of years ago I never would have even been able to picture. So it's just turning my life around would probably be my biggest accomplishment.
How has your life been different than what you'd imagined?
Well, I didn't think I would still be in college at 25, but then I had to take a bunch of gap semesters. I never really imagined leaving home so early and then having to deal with medical debt. So having all my college life in my mid-20s has been kind of interesting. Living as individually and independent from my parents. I ran away the moment I became an adult, so my life kind of drastically changed in a way I never really imagined. And now that I've found a lot of stability and financial security since then, I'm kind of looking back and thinking wow, I never imagined that was the way that things would go. And it's kind of interesting to just how suddenly everything just kind of changed just like that.
Can you tell me about the important people in your life?
There's a lot of people who are very important to me in my life. Despite being very introverted, I have a tendency to just run into people and just start talking to them and making all these connections, and these people mean the world to me. I have two partners right now. They both mean a lot to me. One of them I've been dating for about 5 years. I live with her. We have a very old stray dog that we took in, and she's been helping me get through college. And my other partner I've been seeing for a couple of months. They both know about each other. I'm polyamorous. I'm not some dirty cheater airing out secrets or anything. And that partner has been very a very positive presence in my life, and it's kind of helps me just learn to embrace who I am a lot more and just be happier with who I am. and they're just a really big like positive force in my life. And let's see, people I see on a day-to-day basis. There's the people here at KSUA 91.5 at College Radio. I do a lot with them, and we go through a lot of like stressful projects together. So there's sort of this sense of like camaraderie that it's just really nice to have. And I really like felt that way about like coworkers before, but I finally understand all those like sitcoms where like everyone says like their coworkers are like their family and stuff. I feel that now. Some of my best friends are my friend Rodolfo Garcia. He's pretty popular, pretty well known around campus here. We hang out a lot. He's been like such a positive, good presence in my life. We started hanging out last summer, but it feels like we've just known each other for years at this point. We go hiking, we do karaoke almost every week, and whenever we're both having like issues in life, like we usually turn to each other to just like vent about them. And our mutual friend Beck, Beck's awesome. They often join us on hikes, and before they moved to Valdez, they would go to karaoke with us every week. And they're very supportive, but they're also very funny. Their sense of humor is a bit extreme sometimes, even more than mine. I'm just like, wow, okay, Beck. I never know what to expect from them, but I usually get a good laugh, and it's a nice alleviation from some of the struggles in life.
Who would you say has been the biggest influence on your life? And what lessons did that person or those people teach you?
One of my supervisors at my other job over at the Nanick Diversity and Action Center, Julia Aikman, like she often noticed like how I would have a tendency to just take on too many things at once. Like I'm in like 5 different clubs, 2 different jobs, I have 2 partners, and tons of like social obligations with my friends. And she notices like how overwhelmed I often get, and she'll like talk to me and like pull me aside, and she'll mention like, hey, you're doing a lot, and it doesn't go unseen. And also the amount of stress it gives you is also something that does not go unseen. And she'll often just like talk to me and like try to like remind me that I need to make time for myself. And she's part of the reason why lately I've been so conscious about not spreading myself too thin, and just finding time to be just a person that can just lay back and not worry about 500 different like obligations. And I would say like that's had a pretty big impact on like my current life, and just learning how to take things easy and not making like everything my own responsibility.
How would you describe yourself?
I guess I'd kind of describe myself like as laid back. Like I do get stressed. I know I don't seem like I do, but like on the inside, like in my internal monologue, I often am like kind of like stressed out, a little, I don't want to say it because it's my name, but like a little moody. But like, yeah, I do have like these like little like moods that I go through in my head, but ultimately I would say I'm just like laid back. I go with the flow. A lot of people will just like call me like chill, I guess. So I'd say I'm pretty creative. I'm creative and I'm laid back, but I also have a lot of energy. I think I get things done, and I don't know. People always like say I'm really like kind, but I don't like talking about that, because if I talk about it, it feels kind of pretentious. But a lot of people be like, "Oh, you're so like nice and selfless and altruistic," and I'm just like, I'm just treating others the way I want to be treated. But yeah, I think just like kind, creative, laid back, mellow would be one of them. Are sort of like words that people would use to describe me. And also funny. I joke around a lot. But I say a lot of things like in kind of like monotone, so people sometimes can't tell if I'm joking. And then once they realize I am, like they kind of start to like chuckle a little bit.
Dry humor. Nice.
Yeah, a little dry humor.
What would be the dream for you after graduating from college?
After graduating from college, I would really like to have a job in like a psychological field, or not necessarily being like a therapist or something, just like someone that gets to help people over at the Nanick Diversity and Action Center Prevention and Wellness team, I get to like help with a lot of like programs related to sort of mental health and social work and just the wellness of individuals, and especially those in like marginalized communities, some of which I'm also a part of. And I would like to continue doing something similar post-college, a job, like a really nice, well-paying job with a lot of benefits and time off, hopefully healthcare. So I'd like to work somewhere where I can focus on like community healing and just helping individuals get through like really rough or extreme spots in their life and kind of like help push against, I just spit everywhere, push against some of the systems in place that are, you know, keeping people like locked into like poverty and unable to find a sense of stability in their life that everyone deserves to have. And I'd like to be able to do that while also having time like outside of work to work on my art. And the reason why I dual major in psychology and art is because I really want the art skills and like academic knowledge of art and art history. And I want to be able to create multimedia things, like I want to work on like short films, video games, and all those sort of things. And I want to have like strong imagery and just, you know, good understanding of like visual identity and artistic concepts. But then I also want to be able to help people. And there's a lot of like artsy people that say, I want to make stories in art that inspire people to make their lives better. But that's as much as a good story can change someone's life, I also believe that I just need to do something more direct and like something where I'm more hands-on and directly impacting people and helping them through their life in a way that a moving picture cannot help them or a good book cannot help them. And I would like to be able to just after work every day have enough time left in the day to spend time with my loved ones, but then also get around to work on my personal art project and just make art for art's sake, and also just work on like creative projects with like storytelling that I can use my artistic abilities to enhance and make more memorable.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years or in 10 years?
In about 5 years, I think I'll probably still be at UAF taking grad school courses, but I'll probably have like, I'd like to still be doing stuff at the radio station. If I could possibly move up somehow, that'd be pretty cool, but I'm not going to try and like steal my supervisor's job. He's really cool. He's also in the room right now, I think. And let's see, I'd also like to be, I'd like to have made a lot of art. I've made quite a bit of art, but I always feel like I haven't made enough, and I'd like to make more. And I think I want to have like some creative projects with my name on them put out into the world. They could be really any medium, as long as I've like done something and I can point people towards like, hey, look at this book I wrote, or this game I helped like work on, or just, you know, this or that, really anything creative. And I would like to maybe have like my foot in the door somewhere with like, just like maybe like a doctor's office or just an organization of some sort that's related to like community outreach and helping people.
Describe the work that you do here.
Here at KSUA 91.5 FM College Radio, I'm the production director, and while that primarily entails like the pre-recorded content on the station, there's also a little bit of extra responsibilities. So everyone has their own job title, but due to the nature of all of us being students and sometimes not being around, we sometimes pitch in and do a little bit of like everything for each of our coworkers. So everyone gets like a taste of like what it's just like to you know, oversee a radio station and schedule the files and do outreach and communication with people, and a little bit of social media production or social media outreach. So everyone gets a little taste of everything, but I'm primarily the one that just like schedules things with students and people to come into the station and record content for the studio, which that can mean like station IDs, which are little bumpers that we do that are legally required so that people who listen in can like know what station that they're listening to. The FCC, which we are overseen by for all their rules, they require that at the top of every hour. We also do PSAs, so like just public service announcements. They can be pretty general, like, hey, don't drink and drive, that's not good. Or they can just be more like, hey, there's this cool event on campus. And that also counts as a PSA because it's doing a service to the community by alerting them towards like local ongoings and things on campus. And then sometimes we do special radio productions. Like recently, this year, I did Halloween 2, where we had all these like Halloween stories that we had recorded the previous semester, but there ended up being so many that they were not finished in time for Halloween. So we made Halloween 2, which was in like the middle of the spring semester, where we just said, hey, it's Halloween again, just because. And we broadcasted all those, and I helped record those, and I did a lot of the editing, but I also had some pitching in from coworkers because there is a lot of stories. So as I was saying, like everyone gets a little bit of taste of everything. Some people get a taste of like the editing that I have to do, and it's really like a big like team job because of that. So it's pretty nice. There's a really strong sense of like just connection with my coworkers, and I get a lot of like radio production experience and audio production, which kind of like ties back into some of the music stuff I want to do with my music minor. And a lot of like the PSAs and like special productions kind of relate to some of the like psychological stuff I want to do. Like a lot of the time there'll be synergy between this job and my other student job over at the Prevention and Wellness Center, because we'll record like PSAs related to mental health and like suicide prevention and like different observances like Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So there's a lot of like kind of just recording and editing. And some of the DJs here at the station like do pre-recorded shows. So they're out of state, but they were previously UAF students, so they have a history at the station, and they've continued their shows by sending me like files that have like the episode, and I'll download that, I'll upload it to our radio technology system, and then I'll schedule it so it airs on time.
So, could you tell me how you got into your line of work?
Let's see. Growing up, I would spend a lot of time like just messing around on computers, and I guess like voice acting and like audio editing were two like really big things that I found interesting. So I'd mess around in like programs that were like kind of related to that pretty often, and I just kind of like learned how to do like funny things with like my voice, like recordings, like make myself sound like a robot or an alien or a demon, and like I found it very fun. So I like learned how to do stuff like that, or like how to like loop music tracks that I really liked, so I wouldn't have to like hit replay, they would just keep going forever. Or like things about like metadata in music, like how like MP3 files are like tagged with like the info on like artists, so that like the proper like information comes up when you put them on your phone, and it's like, this is this album by this band, and here's like the album cover and stuff like that. And I think like, I forgot how, but one day I saw like a poster or something for KSUA, and I applied to be a DJ, and I just thought it was like fascinating, like having this like radio station that only plays like alternative music that is picked out by students and not by like an algorithm or like whatever's popular, but just like, here is random really weird music by like picked by students who play what they want to play, and not anything else is like used to choose the music that's playing. I thought that was so cool, so I applied to become a DJ, and then I became a DJ, and then I just like played all these like different songs and like all this music that normally would never play on the radio. And then I discovered a lot of music, like new music, listening to the station, and a lot of my current like music taste is just pretty much just KSUA flavored. And then I also give back by uploading some of my own music to the station sometimes by pestering like the music director. So I think like just having like a big interest in music and audio editing and just like computer, like messing around with computers kind of pushed me towards this job, and then or pushed me towards the station, and then volunteering for the station, and then coming back a few semesters later and finding out that they were hiring. I was just like, well, of course. I'd love to do that. I guess I'm gonna do more stuff for KSUA again, but this time it'll be like through a job instead of volunteer work.
So, General, do you like your job?
Oh, I love it here. It's so lax, and it's like probably like the most fun job I've had. A lot of the audio editing, like sometimes there's a lot to edit, but the deadlines are pretty forgiving, and everyone is very friendly. It just feels like so comfortable in here. I've never really had like a job before where I would actively feel like, oh yeah, I want to go to the studio, I want to go to like the place I work right now and just hang around. But I often find myself just coming to the station just to like sit down and do homework even when I'm not like on the clock because I really like the atmosphere. It's just so laid back and like there's just such a cozy vibe to all of it, and it really does feel like home sometimes. Sometimes I'll be here like after hours when it's dark out, just doing homework because it's just so nice in here and it helps me focus on my homework.
So, for all the talk about your job now, what did you think you were going to be when you grew up?
I don't know. I think I would do a little bit of everything, which is kind of what I am doing. But I dreamed pretty big. Before I realized how scary space was, I kind of wanted to be an astronaut, and I read a lot of books on space. I also kind of wanted to be like an ice cream truck person and just drive around and sell ice cream. I think it kind of changed every day what I wanted to be. And then when I got to like a certain level of like cognizance, I was just like, I just had no idea. So I was kind of just like, I guess I'll just go to college and take classes until I find out. And kind of just drifted around a bit and eventually found myself in my current position.
What lessons has your work life taught you?
Work life is probably just like I've been saying a bunch. Don't take on too much, or you want to do all these things. Everyone wants to do a lot of different things, and you can do a lot of things, but you can't do everything. And if you try to do everything, then instead of giving everything the amount of attention it deserves, you'll be giving everything like less attention than it deserves. And if you're not doing everything the best you can, then are you really doing it at all? Like if you're giving everything just like a little sliver of attention instead of the amount it needs, then it really won't feel like you're doing anything. So I guess working has kind of just taught me like I need to give everything the amount of attention it deserves, and if I need to drop something, then it just wasn't meant to be. And maybe I can come back around to it at another point. Like there's a lot of projects I wanted to do here at work where I'll think like I should just start doing this right now. I should start working on it, but then I'll remind myself like, hey, I have like these 2 other projects I still need to finish, and I shouldn't start another like ongoing project or initiative right now until I finish one of those. And I'll jot it down and I'll maybe think about it from time to time, but I'll keep myself from like starting to invest in it until it's an appropriate time to.
If you could do anything now, what would you do and why?
It's a tough one. I kind of want to focus on like school right now, but at the same time, like I have a lot of big projects that I want to work on, but they're ones that I can't do alone because they're like multimedia kind of projects. Like there are like things that I want to write, like short films that I want to work on, or like games that I want to like develop, and so many different things. And I think if I could change anything right now is that I would want to get like a little more serious about working on one of those and just like having like a really big creative like project to like direct a lot of my like attention and energy to, and just like being able to like collaborate on that with like a lot of different people.
Do you have any favorite stories from your work life?
Favorite stories. I don't know how many like I'm allowed to share. I think this one's pretty funny, and I think it'd be okay to talk about it. I got an email one time from the campus police station, and they said that there was like sexual moaning being broadcasted on the station at like 2 a.m. Someone called the police station rather than the radio station and reported that, and then the police station emailed us. I don't know if it was just me that they messaged or if they like sent it to the whole department. I really wish I held on to the email because it was funny, but they described it like pornographic content was being broadcasted, and they made it sound like either something pornographic was being broadcasted or someone was like being a little exhibitionist and forgot to turn the microphones off in the studio. And both possibilities frightened me. I did not like the idea of having to file that report or talk to someone about it, or just like having to deal with like the controversy. But it turns out it was just music with a sample that sounded mildly sexual, and it really wasn't that big of a deal. It was just some like beats with like a little like kind of like moany noise in it. But it was at 2 a.m. when that kind of stuff is not really that much of a big deal anyway. But I think about that sometimes, and it's just kind of funny to me.
Now, I know you work with NDAC as well as for KSUA. How do you balance between both of these clubs and school?
I'm not sure. People ask me that a lot in general. I actually ran into two people at Fred Meyer earlier that I recognized from campus, and I was like, "Oh, hey, hello there." And then they're like, "Hey, we were just talking about you," and I was like, "What?" And then they were like, "Yeah, we were talking about how like crazy it is that you work at both NDAC and KSUA," and like I don't know, like a lot of people seemed like aware of just like this position that I'm in. Um, Everyone's always commenting on like how busy I am and how like I'm always like running around, and they ask me like how I do that, how I manage, and I'm never really sure how to answer. Like I have a lot of energy. Like I don't know if it's just like the fact that I have like ADHD or something that constantly makes me want to like stay on the move and just just do something at all times. But that might be a part of it. Not to like call my disability a superpower or something, but like that's probably part of it. And then I guess like just my ambition of just like wanting to be like involved in all these things and having like interests all over the place. I think a big part of like what keeps me energized is like going on a run every day. I notice that when I'm not exercising consistently, I don't have much energy, but I go on these like runs almost every day, and I just feel like so energized like all the time. And I think that and like trying to get pretty consistent sleep are two big aspects of what keep me like going and able to just like take on all this stuff. But another thing would probably be my day planner. I have a day planner that like whenever I'm doing really well in life, it's usually when I'm like religiously checking and updating my day planner. When I'm not, I'm kind of a mess, but when I have my day planner all set out, I just start checking things off and I run from thing to thing to thing and I get everything done. And like, yeah, I guess my secret's my day planner.
Now, I know that you're in the theater department. How does being the production director help with your acting?
It helps me a lot because I get a lot of chances to like kind of act things out. Most of it's voice acting, and I have a little bit of like novice like history with that, like working on like projects that friends have done for like YouTube and stuff. So acting is always something I've been interested in, and I find it kind of easy to just like put on a mask and assume a role, and I find it very fun and kind of like freeing. So it's something I've been doing like casually as a hobby for a while, but here at the radio station, I get a lot of chances to like write things and then be in them as the production director. And like I've had instances where like the film department will allow students to act in radio things for extra credits in classes. And like even in the acting one class that I'm in right now, the professor was just like, "Hey, if you want to do that, like you can just ask your classmates to come and record stuff, and you email me and I'll give them extra credit and I'll give you extra credit for being the one to put it together." So I get a lot of chances. I make a lot of my own chances to just get like experience or just like extra practice in for acting and just being in all these like extremely specific like radio scenarios, whether they're like comedic or really dramatic or like kind of like horror stories and that sort of thing. And there's like a lot of like potential for overlap. I think cutting back to the previous question a bit, I think like finding ways to like overlap a lot of my interests and synergize them is another big thing about like finding time for all these different interests.
If you could talk to a younger version of yourself, what would you say?
It's a tough one, because like if it's like a time travel kind of scenario, I don't know if I would like want to change anything, because as rough as the road here was, I kind of like being here. But if like I don't know, like I guess like advice wise, it's really hard. I think I would like I wouldn't really like want to say like any specific like thing that's gonna happen, but I think I would kind of just want to say like kind of like imply or show like how like relatively like good the future is. Just like give myself like a really like sort of like keep going. It'll be great if you just keep your head up.
Is there anything else or any thoughts you have or wanted to share before we wrap up here?
I can't really think of much. I think they should put the turtle statues back in Constitution Park over in like the center of the university between like the bookstore and the green. That's just like oops, that's just like a random like thing. I think the turtles should come back. And then also I think anyone watching or listening should be careful not to just like take on too much and pile on like too many responsibilities. I know it's very tempting thinking like, oh, it's just one more thing, but all those one more things become many things after a while. And you need to take care of yourself and have time to just relax and be a person.
Well, thank you for talking with us today. It was great being able to ask you some questions and hear your answers. That's a wrap. Have a great day.
Awesome.